All right, so today's message is mountains are meant to be climbed or conquered and conquered. Matthew 11 and 22, have faith in God. Jesus said to them, verse 23, truly I tell you that if anyone says to this mountain, be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and he has no doubt in his heart, but believes that it will happen, it will be done for him. Verse 24, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. So you can ask God to help you with your faith. You can ask God to help you stretch your faith or strengthen your faith. Also, too, if you look at people that have climbed the biggest mountains, they were meant to be conquered. You know, sometimes it can be tough, but God said that you are more than a conqueror. And so you can conquer any mountain. So I asked you what mountain is in your life. Is it family? Is it a spouse? Is it a is it job? Is it finances? Is it employment? Or anything like that? Is it a mother-in-law? Is it a father-in-law? Is it your children? And when I mean conquer, I don't mean like, being having control. What I mean is, being able to have peace and being able to deal, because we know sometimes things can happen, you know, and it kind of stresses us out or anything like that. And I mean that you can have peace in that. That's what I mean when I say conquer. You can have peace in that. Matthew 17 and 20, because you have so little faith, he answered, for truly I will tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. So we know that God has made us more than conquerors, as I said. We can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. Matthew 21 and 20, truly I tell you, Jesus replied, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only will you do what was done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and it will happen. Okay, so we look at people that climb the highest mountains like Mount Everest and others as well. How do you climb a mountain in your life? It needs faith. So you need faith in God to be able to climb it. You also need to be able to hear from God. And again, you need to study the word, to show thyself approved, so that when times get rough going up the mountain, and even when climbing Mount Everest, people sometimes, maybe slip, but the faith is what allows you to hang on until you get to the top. So if you look at various athletes, any of the athletes that have accomplished championships or have been great, you have to ask yourself, how were they great? First, they had to go train to be great, and then they had to go out and be great. And that's what God is saying. That's why we, read these scriptures daily, so we can be great in our lives, not meaning that we're comparing ourselves to other people, but being great so we can conquer these mountains in our lives, because sometimes like I said, life hits you by surprise, doesn't catch God by surprise. But God may be stretching your faith. We know there's scriptures in the Bible that says that the just shall live by faith. 1 Corinthians 13 and 2, it says, if I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and I have absolute faith so as to move mountains, but no love, I am nothing. So along with that, you have to have love so we can teach others how to climb these mountains with their faith. We know that love is the greatest of all, and that's what God wants us to do. To be able to share with others so they can be able to climb mountains. If we're an expert at climbing mountains, along with God, we can help others climb their mountains. Matthew 19 and 26, Jesus looked at them and said, with man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. So all things are possible, and there's, our mountains are different than other people's mountains. That's why God said, don't compare ourselves. But again, I mean, if it takes you longer to climb a mountain than somebody else, it don't matter. All that matter is that you conquered, your mountain. It may take somebody one day, just give an example, and then it may take you a month or two, but it don't matter. We don't compare ourselves because somebody else had climbed their mountain faster, or what we think may look like they climbed their mountain faster. But all you got to do is just trust in God, and that's where God is trying to bring you. So we know yesterday's message was, God is trying to bring you to another level in Him. you know, and with that, he's allowing us to be able to conquer more mountains and also to have peace. I talk to people all the time and they say, how do you have peace? And it's because I climb the mountains with faith, not faith in myself, but faith in God. So I thank God for that, just showing me how to climb mountains along with me, and it was just interesting. I was watching, old footage, highlight takes even in football, and God was like, look what we done, and I just actually just cried, because it was just a blessing to see, how some people just looked at that and it was just being great, and I've heard some people say, man, you was the best player I ever seen. And I mean, just to hear that is just an honor, so I thank God for that. But today's message is, like I said, to, you can have the faith to be able to climb and conquer these mountains. So what mountain is in your life today? And you can conquer that. And that's what God is saying. You can move these mountains and cast them into the sea. God bless. Love y'all.